from payroll, Alan Bromwell, Secondary Roads, effective May 14, 2021. G, wage change, Chad Bodorf, Motor Grader Operator Engineer, effective May 22, 2021. H, wage change, Cameron Glover, Road Maintenance Tech Engineer, effective June 1, 2021. I, wage change, Jacob Gardner, Road Maintenance Tech Engineer, effective May 19, 2021. J, wage change, Bradley Ergenberger, Paving Foreman Engineer, effective May 19, 2021. K, new hire, Ashley Sinclair, part-time dispatcher, sheriff, effective May 19, 2021. L, new hire, Jamie Lee, part-time dispatcher, sheriff, effective May 19, 2021. M, new hire, Margaret Weatherman, part-time dispatcher, sheriff, effective May 19, 2021. N, new hire, Haley Morawski, temporary legal assistant, county attorney, effective May 17, 2021. O, remove from payroll, Emily Bell, legal assistant, county attorney, effective May 12, 2021. P, new hire, Deborah Segabart, part-time Veteran Services Officer, VA, effective April 27, 2021. Q, wage change, Ed Hall, full-time Veterans Service Officers, VA, effective May 15, 2021. R, alcohol license renewal, Red Acre Barn, Pearl, Iowa. And S, set public hearing date for June 1, 2021 at 9:40 a.m. for the second reading regarding the rezoning application submitted by Right Real Property Holdings LLC. Do we have a motion to adopt?
We'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
McIntyre.
Aye.
Peter.
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye, motion carries. Number 2 on our agenda tonight is the Historic Preservation Commission to discuss the planning for preservation project and the contract with Spark Consulting.
Yes, that's me.
Yes, sir, how are you?
I'm doing good, thank you. I have the pleasure to know some of you via Facebook, and you're the new members. So I'm actually representing the Historic Preservation Commission, and two of the members, Judy Russell and Skip Phillip, that came as well. I'm known to board everybody with the history of our organization and how we're doing it, but in August of last year, the state of Iowa awarded us the certification as a certified local government, which is a great honor for us, and especially as a county, to have the ability to access to monies from the state as being a certified local county, which helps us also for our initiatives for preservation of many things within the unincorporated part of the county. In that process, by the suggestion of Paula Moore, which is a representative for the state, said that we should apply for a grant for a preservation planning program, which will allow us to learn the processes within the state rules or regulations, how to apply for, preservation of, let's say, the square in Indianola, or a barn in some little town, or a church, a cemetery, bridge, multiple different things. So we applied for the grant, and we got the grant awarded at the end of last year. After that, we submitted 7 proposals to different consultants that were suggested by the state of Iowa, and we received 3 proposals back from that. And out of that, in our last meeting, we presented all the proposals to the board, and we voted to go with Spark Consultant, which is the group that it was chosen for the actual project. The project itself, it got sent a contract, which is the contract was evaluated by the state of Iowa. We just included our information, our name and stuff. And now the last step of the process is for the board to acknowledge the contract and by Mr. DeCock to sign and proceed with that. This is a combination of grant monies from the state, in-kind money from us, and volunteers, around 90 hours of volunteering work for the whole process. And it will take from, let's see here, just to look at my notes to give you, it's starting around August of this year, and it will be submitted to completion on April of 2026. So that will be next year. So officially we're going to start working on this full time in August with the consultant. And that is what I wanted to present to you, and especially because I haven't had the opportunity to introduce myself personally, except for since this madness started via Zoom. So we took the opportunity now we're vaccinated to come in person without mask and being able to talk to everyone and show you how excited we are with the support from the board of supervisors from the get-go. Because I'm not sure if you're aware, Mr. Heater, but the commission was in life support for a while, and we got it resurrected, and we got people now that really interested in to pursue the well-being for the county and just preserve our heritage. So I'm probably the only one, I'm not from Iowa or neither from Warren County, but I own a farm here and I'm in love with the county and what we have, and I think it's of incredibly importance for everyone to put the effort into save many structures there in chance to, being destroyed for neglect, lack of money for that matter. So that was my spiel. I have a letter for the contract with this company, and I guess I can give it to Dawn, and she can take care of that for us. I'm not sure if any of you have any questions for me.
I'm really excited that you stepped up and helped to preserve the preservation of the Historical Society as part of Warren County, not the society, but this,
Yes, Preservation Commission.
commission. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome. We're excited too because the society's been in life here in the county for a long time. They manage the museum, and we create a partnership with them as well. And that way we're all talking one voice instead of being all these little organizations trying to pull strings. So I think in the power. The other thing is good for the state, having us as a center when a little, community that they don't have representation, they would like to do a project. The state would to send us to talk to us. So that's the way it's going to happen. The good thing about this, once we get this project gone, there is an ordinance that can be passed after the fact when we feel more, entitled to the knowledge of how to proceed, that we can be of service to you as a commission. You can evaluate future projects from individuals in the unincorporated area, and that way we can give Escape is an architect, which is good. It's the only one that has the knowledge of. Otherwise, everybody else is just love to the old things. But it's a good group, and we're really interested in the preservation of it. So far, the only two programs that were done in the past, it was supporting the Palmyra Church restoration, which is one of the. I cannot remember now. It's part of the registry, a national registry. We have 12 properties within the county that they are registered with. We had 13 until the demolition of the but we lost that one. We have to wait 50 years to get this one registered. But so that's what I have. Any other questions, suggestions?
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Tom, is there any action we can take?
I think you should do a resolution authorizing
Yes.
the chairperson to sign the contract.
For the project. I'll make that motion.
I'll second. Is there any discussion on it? Roll call please.
McIntyre,
Aye.
Peter,
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye. Motion carries. Alright, number 3, Mental Health Month Proclamation, discussion with possible action.
Yes, hello. I am before you tonight just to bring the Mental Health Month proclamation. With CICS, we are bringing this proclamation to all of our member counties, as well as it'll be on the governing board this month as well. I'm just trying to bring awareness about mental health illnesses and some of the statistics that are in this proclamation. Mental Health America is kind of the ones who promote May to be Mental Health Month. And so they are the ones that give us kind of a toolkit, and part of the toolkit is the proclamation. So that is what I have for you today.
Okay.
Do you want me to read it? I've gotten pretty good at it. I've been doing it a few counties.
Why do you ask that? So you actually do one.
I thought you would rather me read it than
That'd be great.
I'll skip the last paragraph and let you pull up there or pick up there if that works. Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay, perfect. Whereas mental health is essential to everyone's overall health and well-being, and whereas Mental Health America reports that 9.7% of youth have severe major depression, this rate was highest among youth who identified as more than one race at 12.4%. Even before COVID-19, the prevalence of mental health illness among adults was increasing, an increase of 1.5 million people over last year's data. In addition, Mental Health America states from January 2020 to September 2020, there was a reported 93% increase in anxiety screenings and 62% increase in depression screenings. And whereas education is an effective way to reduce the stigma of mental illnesses, and whereas mental health illnesses are real and prevalent in our county regardless of socioeconomic boundaries, and whereas we encourage our citizens to get help for mental health illnesses and to understand it is important to treat as any other illness such as diabetes or heart disease. And whereas each business, school, government agency, healthcare provider, organization, and citizen shares the burden of mental health illnesses and has a responsibility to promote mental wellness and support prevention efforts. And whereas through increased awareness, we can achieve our goal to abandon negative stigmatism and reinforce our acceptance of individuals seeking treatment. Then,
Therefore, I, Aaron DeCook, Chair, Board of Supervisors, do hereby proclaim May 2021 as Mental Health Month in Warren County, Iowa. As the Chair, I also call upon the citizens, government agencies, public and private institutions, businesses, and schools of Warren County, Iowa to recommit our community to increasing awareness and understanding of mental health, the steps our citizens can take to protect their mental health, and the need for appropriate and accessible services for all people with mental health at all stages.
any other questions for me? It's a mouthful. We have really added a lot of mental health services in Warren County, and so I really do feel like when it talks about at the end, the need for appropriate and accessible services for all individuals at all stages, the legislation has really charged the regions with crisis services, and we have really developed those in the last 3 years. So we have outpatient for people who are kind of having more of the routine, ongoing support. We also have those crisis services for people who are in that crisis level. So kind of goes along with what the proclamation states.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you guys.
I'll make a motion to adopt our proclamation as read.
I'll second. Roll call, please.
McIntyre.
Aye.
Peter.
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye. It is adopted. All right, number 4 on the agenda. Perfect timing at 6:15. Public meeting to consider abandonment of streets and alley in Churchill.
This actually should be a public hearing about conveyance of already vacated streets, Main Street and streets line, West Street line west of lots 4 and 5 and North Street in Churchville. This is all in Churchville, which if you drive west on Highway 92 and you go north on 30th, you're going to eventually see Churchville on your left as you're heading north. The Henrietta Huss Trust, an attorney from that trust contacted the county attorney's office and asked whether the county would be interested in conveying these vacated streets to the trust. The trust owns property around those streets, and we've looked at whether this would interfere with anybody else's access to their property within Churchville, and what they're asking for does not. I would ask that the board go into a public hearing to consider this matter.
I'll make a motion to go into a public hearing.
A second. Roll call, please.
McIntyre.
Aye.
Peter.
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye. We're now in public hearing.
So I've given you the information about the request from the Henrietta Huss Trust regarding conveyance of those abandoned or vacated streets in Churchill. I've not had any contact, the notice has been published, but I've not had any contact from anybody either in support or opposition.
Did the county reach out specifically to it looks like there's one neighbor and it looks like part of the vacated road, there's a garage or a structure or a dwelling or something on it, and that's not part of this conveyance.
That would not be part of this conveyance, that would stay just as it is.
I understand, but has that neighbor been contacted by the county?
Not directly, no,
Okay.
because they had no interest in that particular piece. And the homeowner that has a residence right next to that piece north, that north piece of Main Street, they've built actually into that
Kinda built it on.
vacated piece, so we certainly would entertain their request.
Yes, if that homeowner would come before this board and ask for us to grant them a conveyance of that road where their dwelling's already located, I'm guessing they probably have some luck with that too.
All they need to do is make a request, and I certainly will bring it before the board.
Sounds good. Any other questions for Don, or, it is open to the public, if there's, comments online or here in the room, we will certainly hear them out. Okay. We'll leave public hearing.
I'll make a motion to leave public hearing.
Second.
Roll call, please.
McIntyre.
Aye.
Heater.
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to transfer the listed property to the Henrietta Huss Revocable Trust for $100.
Second. Oh, sorry.
For $100, and we have a second, Crystal?
Do we have to have any other reading?
I'm sorry?
Do we have to have any other hearings or readings?
No, this is it. You can waive any second and third hearing.
All right, second.
Okay, motion and a hearing, or a motion and a second, roll call, please.
McIntyre.
Aye.
Heater.
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Okay, number 5 on our agenda tonight is dispatch feasibility study with Polk County, discussion with possible action.
Okay. This goes back to, our work session and a meeting that was held between, Polk County and Madison County and Dallas County and Warren County to discuss a potential alignment, of counties, a regional, to develop a regional, dispatch, center in Polk County that Warren County could potentially become a part of. And in that meeting, and by the way, Joe Carrico, our sheriff, had presented this concept to the 911 board last night. And the study will basically give us a lot more information about how the two entities, Warren County and Polk County, would interact, how our systems would integrate, what the cost is, what the service levels are in Polk County, what the service levels are in Warren County. And for example, the well, I won't go into that right now. So anyway, this was presented. It's an opportunity. This proposal offers an opportunity to offer our dispatchers more training. They would become Polk County employees. It would give them pretty much every complaint that I'm aware of for dispatch, it would be, those things would be covered. They've asked for more training, they've asked for less time, for more pay, for more direction, for management. All of those things would be provided to the dispatchers. And this would allow our dispatchers to improve their skill set in the area of dispatch. So they would get the training to potentially help people with the verbal cues of providing CPR. So if someone would call into dispatch today in Warren County and, you know, I'm having these symptoms, I need some emergency help, we send out the help. In Polk County, they have the ability to discuss the symptoms and talk medically about what's going on and medically give some direction to hopefully, you know, keep them healthy until the emergency service arrives. That's just one idea of how the level of service would increase. And the study will force us to answer questions like how many calls a month do our dispatch get? What is our response time now from Indianola to Milo to get you know, medical services out there? It'll do a very detailed analysis of what we're doing now and what it would cost to do it better. And the estimated cost to regionalize, there's some economy of scale advantages to regionalization. And by all accounts, and basically the range of cost of services, we could save hundreds of thousands of dollars by joining a regional, by developing or joining a region in dispatch. So that's what's on the table. We would like the opportunity to do a study. The cost is $25,000. We will pay half of that fee, and that's what's on the table tonight, just to get a vote. I can tell you that, and Crystal, you know, can please, you know, add anything you want to, but the 911 board that is 16 members had basically voted this down. The 911 commission is not in favor of this. And
I think they would like a study, but a study that I think is derived from us, and to look at all options, not just going to Polk County.
I do not serve on that board, but was it a unanimous decision by that board? They were all not in favor of the feasibility study?
There was one yes.
Okay. So then really we're left with the question of whether or not we wanna spend $12,500 for a study where it doesn't appear as though we have the support, that even if the study comes back favorable saying this is a good option, that we're not going to have the support to do it.
The 911 director was given the go-ahead to contact different vendors to look into possible other studies that could be tailored more for Warren County and the other options that are available. I think the drawback was Polk County's on a different system than ours. We have Motorola, they have a Harris system. And that's also a different platform. We have the ISIX and they have the Sarah. So they weren't really interested in that aspect of it, when in 10 minutes with a thumb drive you can go to Westcom and they can fully dispatch today. Same with Dallas and others who have our system.
Okay.
motion to, approve the feasibility study in the amount of $12,500.
It doesn't look like Supervisor McIntyre is going to second. I'm going to let it fail for lack of a second as well at this time, just because it doesn't look like, in my mind, putting forth the resources on something that seems like it's already going to be a dead end, makes a lot of sense at this moment in time. So absent some changes from some of the other decision makers on that, it just doesn't, it just looks like we're gonna be tossing good money after.
I think it's a good example of how our government works, because what lays in front of Warren County and our taxpayers is an opportunity to save $500,000 to $700,000 and increase our level of service. That lays in front of this board, and where in the history of Warren County have we had an opportunity to take $500,000 to $1 million out of our general fund on an annual basis, and the people that are making the decisions on this are not, most are not accountable to the public. So we've got their board, think about this, their board, I mean, there are people that are elected on that board, but the majority are not. They're not elected officials, they don't represent anybody, and they do not have accountability to anybody. So with the money is spent here, and just think about that for a moment.
Okay, well, I'm not saying I'm opposed to it forever and forever, but I would like to talk to a few of the people that were in the meeting last night. I haven't had an
I
opportunity.
appreciate that.
I haven't had an opportunity to do so yet. The meeting was last night. I had
Just as long as you're willing to keep talking about it, Aaron.
Well,
And Crystal. That's all that matters.
I will.
And we will be having a joint meeting on Tuesday.
We have some, it's the 25th, don't we?
Yes, which is board, 911 and EMA, and this is a topic of discussion.
So, for the public's benefit, at least from my perspective, I don't think that it's dead forever. It just needs some more consideration, and until, and unless I have a better sense that if the study comes back very favorable and those numbers are accurate.
We're not doing a study.
I understand. I'm just saying.
And so we're not asking to change it, and so,
I understand.
sorry to interrupt you.
You're okay. Let me talk to him. Last night I had a church leadership meeting and a school board meeting, so I didn't get a chance to follow up with those that were in the 911 meeting, but I will. And we have a pretty prime opportunity to do so and to continue that discussion on the 25th. So for now, it does not appear to be moving forward. I will concede though that whether or not that ultimate plan happens, I'm certainly not a gambler in life, but betting, if you will, 12 and a half for an opportunity of 5 or 750, those seems like pretty good odds if they pay off. So I'm not opposed to really giving it some thought. I just need a little more time with it so we can discuss it further on the 25th.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Number 6 on the agenda tonight is the Streetscape discussion and possible action. And I think this is maybe just an update from Supervisor here.
Yeah, it's just a very quick update. There was a pre-con meeting with Warren County and our construction manager with Absolute Concrete Company. I just wanted to publicly and bring the board up to date that meeting went extremely well. I had a lot of concerns around Streetscape and doing it at the same time simultaneously with our project. After attending that meeting, they were very conscientious of our project, very in tune with what we were doing. There's been some good coordination between all the entities and a lot of discussion, and I've got a pretty high comfort level that that's all gonna work out. I think Chairman Cook had called this 6 months ago that it was gonna be fine, and I think it looks like at this point that it is gonna be fine. So that's all I got on that one.
Thank you, Supervisor. Number 7, approve offer to purchase permanent easements for project number L-BRB0857-7391. Mr. Carroll.
So this is for a bridge replacement project on Buchanan Street. We're proposing to replace it with a precast box culvert. It's 4 different property owners. It's simply to purchase permanent easement for the purpose of right-of-way. So we have room to do the work and room to maintain the structure for its life. Prices range from, out of the 4 property owners, it's $250 to $450 per property, which is very reasonable. Which I think is about a $5,000 per acre cost, and it's mostly brush ground, not very usable. Any further questions on that?
Nope. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
McIntyre.
Aye.
Heater.
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye, motion carries. And number 8, approve road reclassification of Quebec Street east of R57 highway from a level B to a level A.
This one was previously discussed at one of the work sessions, but a property owner desired to convert 400 feet of level B road to level A off of pavement off R57. Since then, the property owner has paid all the material costs to do so on that 400 feet, totaling almost $8,700. So our office recommends converting that 400 feet of level B road to level A road, considering he paid the bulk of the project costs.
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
McIntyre.
Aye.
Heater.
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye, motion carries. And number 9, approve road reclassification of Polk Street west of S23 from a level B to a level A.
This one is to extend Polk Street west 400 feet off the existing level A. We don't need any additional right-of-way, and there's no additional grading work or ditching or things of that nature required. The gentleman on this road has been paying into private rock for 15 years and has neighbors that also use the private rock portion of the road. So given the fact that he's been privately paying for rock on that road for that many years and it doesn't take the additional right-of-way or grading work, we recommend upgrading that 400-foot stretch to level A road, and then he's no longer also paying for rock for his neighbor as well. We don't feel like that's a fair situation to be in.
So is it right, David, that to the west part of this 400 feet as well as to the east part of the 400 feet on Polk Street, it's level A, and then there's just this one little stretch of B in between where this gentleman lives?
To the west of his house is level B, and to the east of him is level A to S23.
I got it.
So I believe it's 1,320 feet of level A up to that 400 feet.
I'll make a motion to approve the reclassification of Polk Street west of S23 for the 400 feet from level B to level A.
Second. Sorry, I wasn't reading it.
We have a motion and a second by Supervisor McIntyre. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
McIntyre.
Aye.
Heater.
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, number 10 on the agenda tonight is a vote to add 2 additional board members, 5 in total, in the next general election. And I see we have some folks in the audience that might be interested in speaking on that, but I'll start it off. As discussed in a prior work session, certainly during campaigns years ago, some folks in the county were desirous of going from a 3-member Board of Supervisors to a 5-member Board of Supervisors. There's really 2 ways in which that can happen, and ultimately, either one of those scenarios involves a vote by the citizens of Warren County to make that happen. So it's really, you can get there either way. One of the options, and the quicker of the 2 options, is if the current board is desirous to put that on a ballot in a general election, then a simple majority of the citizens can make that happen. And it would be my position that I'm fine with that. Ultimately, the voters of Warren County can make their decision known. If they would like to see the board expand from 3 to 5, then so be it. And if they would like to retain a 3-person Board of Supervisors for the future, so be it. This really just puts it before them. Some of the things and the reasoning and rationale behind that thought of mine is that I will tell the public that there is some real benefit to being a 5-member board, and in large part that comes down to, in my mind, the open meetings rules and regulations that we must abide by. So while I can certainly have a conversation with Aaron or Crystal, and we can chit-chat about family matters or the weather or how great the Iowa Hawkeye football team is going to be this fall, when it comes down to policy, when it comes down to something that we're going to vote on, then I'm not allowed to have those conversations with my colleagues and say, well, where are you at on this? And because we would have a quorum, we would have 2 out of 3, we would have a majority of the board there, and the public would be absolutely entitled to know and have access to it. So I think that for a county that is now, after the census is out, will be north of 50,000 people, a county that is the top 10 in population and are increasing revenues, we just have a lot of moving parts. And because of that, there are times where it would be very helpful and handy for this board and future boards, in my estimation, to be able to converse with each other, to be able to sit down and have frank conversations. And we can do that, and sometimes the public sees that because that's the only option that we have. And we sort of have I won't call it a dogfight, but sometimes we really hash it out there, and some of those conversations probably would be better off to be had in a more private setting. And so I think that it would make sense to go to 5. I would be supportive of that. Some of the concerns that I've heard along the way of leaving it at 3 really comes down to the population demographics of our county. I don't think it's a big surprise that Norwalk, Cumming, Carlisle, to a large extent, are growing rapidly. Indianola is also growing, and the rural is probably shrinking, although there's a lot of rural development too, for sure. So I think that how that happens makes a big difference. It would be my preference to have zones where you'd have to live within one of the 5 zones. If there's 50,000 people in the county and you'd have 5, then you have to break up each district into an approximate 10,000 people. And how that gets carved up, I think, matters. But ultimately, for my take, I think that the citizens might actually get a little bit better representation. And the reason I think that is because, and it's not a knock on Supervisor Peter, he's new, and I think he's doing a good job, but Indianola, as an example, is an almost exclusively municipality voter demographic. I mean, 95% of that district live inside the city limits of Indianola. And probably 95% of those folks also live on pavement. And that's not bad. It just means that supervisor maybe has a different constituency than what Supervisor McIntyre has, where I'm guessing 95% of your voters do not live on pavement. But some of them do. Some of them certainly do. But it just needs to be somewhat equitable. And if you go to 5, then what happens in my mind is you're probably breaking up the 2 largest population centers of Norwalk and Indianola. And if you do that, if Indianola has 15,000 as an example, well, what you're gonna have probably is part city, part rural, part city, part rural, and you know, where that person comes from, I don't know. I'm not drawing the map, but my point is, every district's gonna have a better mix in my mind of folks living inside cities and folks living in rural unincorporated county. So I think that actually is probably an argument in favor of it. But those are my thoughts. I am supportive of it, but I'd welcome to hear the thoughts of my colleagues and anyone else in the public who would like to speak on it. I'm truly eager to hear your thoughts on it. We can take a vote on it, and if we've got 2 or 3 of us on board with that, then really it'll be up to the people. I'm not going to spearhead that charge to the voters, but I'm happy to answer questions, or I've given my thoughts on it, so up to you. Sure, if you just state your name and your address would be great.
Tom Phillips, 9240 Lakewood Circle, Norwalk. I'm the mayor of Norwalk. Mr. Chairman, thank you for allowing me to address you tonight. Board members, thank you. I have with me here tonight Drew Merrifield, Mayor of Carlisle, and Pam Pepper, Mayor of Indianola, that are in support of this. As we started talking about this, we really looked at some of the decision making and that was being made by the supervisors, and they seemed to have somewhat of a lack of information as they were making decisions. I did some research on the size of boards, and that verified that. What that research shows is that boards that are three or less, that there is not enough communication between the members of that board to be able to share information or their ability to garner additional information and get ideas to garner information. They're a little hamstrung by that. So they have a tendency to make decisions without all of the information available. Boards that are more than 7, they have too much information, they can't make up their minds, and they don't make decisions very well. You know, it's because everybody has their own opinion. So, and what the research came down to is ideal board sizes are between 4 and 7. And I'd like to see the supervisors go to 5. One of the reasons would be so that you can't have tie votes. And that's primarily the reason. I think 5's a good number. I think your workload could be distributed through 5 people very well. You would also then be able to have more than one supervisor on committees, such as the Justice Center or the E911 committees. Those big things could have 2 board members on them then, and not break any open meetings laws. So those are some of the reasons why we do. Aaron had a lot of good points there that I won't try to go over as well. I would say that this is a good time to do this. You are in the process, or should have started the process of redistricting at this point in time, because this is a year that ends in 1. The census is done. And there's a possibility that because of the delay in getting census counts, true census counts, that it could be done in conjunction and possibly done redistricted for 5 districts prior to December 15th for the 2022 election. Otherwise, there's a possibility, or a good possibility, that this won't take effect until the 2024 election. So, but those are just a couple thoughts. If Drew and Pam would like to come up, that would be great as well. But thank you for letting me address you tonight.
Thanks for being here.
Hello, Pam Pepper, 308 North 16th Street, Indianola, Iowa. I am the mayor of Indianola. Thanks for having us. I'm here to agree with my fellow mayors. We are in support of you increasing to 5 supervisors. I think for all the reasons that were stated above, it just makes sense, and the easiest way to do it is through this process. So I strongly encourage you to vote for this. Thanks.
Thank you.
Kathy Stanfield, 407 West Ashland, Indianola. And at the time of the round robin supervisors meeting fiasco a number of years ago, Marilyn Halderman and I were working toward a petition to get a 5-member board. And at that time I had it in my mind I would like to have seen a three districts and 2 at large. And then I found out that that was not an option. And it just kind of cooled off at that time, but I still think it's a very good idea. And I think the discussion tonight about the communications, the study, is an example of why you need more heads. I would like very much to see a 5-member board. Thank you.
Thank you,
Just for the public's benefit, you would know that we would be working together and breaking those open meeting laws if everything passed 3-0, and clearly we sometimes bring things up to the agenda and it fails. And what you never see, or almost never see, at the state legislature or in DC is the majority bring up a bill and have it die. It doesn't die because they know they have the votes. We don't know that we have the votes, and so sometimes we bring things up and hash them out, and it would be nicer not to do that. So I agree with you. It is a good example.
Drew Merrifield, 910 Market Street, Carlisle, Iowa, Mayor of Carlisle. Crystal, Aaron, both of you know that I've been advocating for this for years, and it seems like now is just an opportune time to do it. I could certainly stand up here and go on for a long time as far as the benefits, but I'm not going to do that. What Pam said and what Tom have said and what Chairman DeCook said all fit right into this. It really comes down to representation, and 5 members would certainly have a better representation number-wise. Let's say we're at 50,000, 5 would be 10,000 apiece compared to roughly, what, 17 now. So I definitely think it would be in the benefit of our citizens of the county. So I'm gonna leave it at that. You've heard enough. Thank you.
Supervisor Heater or McIntyre, do you have any thoughts on?
I have a few thoughts. I've been the concept of 5 board members makes sense from a communication standpoint, a continuity standpoint, and the flow of information, and definitely in favor of the concept. The one thing I would like to have on the ballot is the financial impact to the county, whatever that is. When we had 2 supervisors, not quite sure what the number is, and I don't know if we can vote with just, I voted with what is the dollar amount, what's the additional cost, just so the public is aware of that. I've been doing a little bit of research on this, and when I think about in terms of what is gonna make our county better, like how are we gonna make decisions better, what's gonna make us more efficient, the thought that keeps coming up in my mind is to have a manager form of where we have a person in our county that attends all our meetings. They attend the 911 meetings, they attend the Streetscape meetings, they attend the Warren County Youth Center meetings. They have a full and comprehensive understanding of all the moving parts in our county. And my concern is that having 2 more part-time board members is nice, because Aaron and I could visit. I just can't connect exactly how that makes us more functional or more operational, because, you know, I believe that the way we're structured now, it could easily be a full-time job for 3 board members. So would I like to have 5? I would love to have 5. I would love to have us divided up. And since I got here, we have done some things that we've tried to increase the flow of communication. So our board has put in work sessions every 2 weeks. So that's an opportunity for us to sit down and talk and to get our issues out. And sometimes, as Aaron says, that's not pretty sometimes. Sometimes that can get pretty intense. And to me, that's healthy for the public to see that. I mean, we're all passionate about what we're doing. We all have our experiences and our beliefs and our ideas on how to move the county forward. And maybe that's good to get your ideas out. I can tell you that Lynn County 10 years ago went from 3 to 5, and 2 years ago went back to 3. And so when you start thinking about, you know, are there some advantages to a 5-member board? I think there are, but are there any disadvantages to a 5-member board as far as everybody getting together at the same time, as far as how quickly decisions can be made, as far as how nimble you can navigate the different issues? I don't know. I would say right now, you know, if we had to vote tonight, I would be in favor of 5 board members, just from the standpoint of dividing the workload, of being able to communicate. But I'm not so sure in my mind that gets us where we want to go as a county, without a manager, without a administrator that can navigate through, that can attend all the meetings, that can make sure that what we're doing is enforced, that our resolutions that we place forward are actually being abided to. And we don't do any of that cross-checking or day-to-day leadership. We're just not, we just don't have the time to really dive into, you know, what counties are doing next. Strategic planning is a very good example. We don't do that here in our county, and we're getting started on that thanks to Crystal. But how many years are we going to go by without doing some strategic planning? And how does a supervisor come in every day and make sure some of those things happen? We all have wish lists. We all have items that we want to get done, but the being here every single day, all day long, is not anything that we're really doing as supervisors. Just to be honest, we come in, we get our stuff done. We have other things in our lives that we're doing. So I think the question is, is 5 going to get done what we need to get done? Do we need, as we're doing this, the question I have is, will the board be interested in a alternate form of government where we have a manager? Because that's just not something we can do. We have to have the people approve an alternate form, is my understanding. And do we want to do this all at the same time? If the question is, can we have a manager and 5 supervisors? That is a yes for me. I mean, I think we figure out what the financial impact is, and we get it out there, and we figure out a way to do that. And I think that's really the combination of things that can propel us to the next level. And the question of, should the supervisors be full-time? Because in some counties they are full-time. And I don't think any of us, maybe Crystal, she pretty much does work. I mean, you're pretty close to full-time, based on what I'm seeing. I'm not. I understood this to be a part-time position, and have really no interest in working full-time. I have no interest in it. But I have a great interest in the county, and I have a great interest in trying to have impact here. So, as long as we're making the changes, or we're trying to figure out what to do, let's really make the changes, if that makes sense for us. Let's think outside the box a little bit. But I'd like to hold off on and have some of these discussions. We've got until, I don't know when November to put this on the ballot, correct? Like, we've got plenty of time.
Is it June, Tracy, our
It's in-
deadline?
It'd be in March, not this year, next year.
No, I mean to put it on the general election for this year.
Oh,
There is no
Deadline.
general this year, it's only city school.
Oh,
It would be
and then
next
if-
year, 22.
But even if we were to put it, if we were to vote tonight and approve this, could that be on the November election this year?
It'd have to be next year with the general.
I'm misunderstanding that, how that works then, I'm sorry. Okay.
it would go, like, we would vote tonight, if we voted to, go to 5, then it would go on the ballot in 2022 in November.
Correct.
And then the people would decide at that point if they want to approve this, and if they vote to approve it, then, what is it, 2020? And then in 2024,
We would go up for
it
reelection.
would go, then there'd be 5 people on the ballot with this drink, so this is out there a ways, and
Yeah.
I just, so it may not impact any of us, but the question I have is, will 5 part-time workers in leadership be better than 3 with 1 full-time manager with the same spend? That's a comparison that, I can't get really across in my mind. But I would, 5 supervisors with a manager, I think it's a slam dunk. It's just, what are the financial impacts of that? I just think we need more, I think leadership and management are a gap. It's hard for a part-time supervisor to really engage into this as a full-time job when you anticipated it to be a part-time job. But there are so many opportunities in the county to do good things. There's so many opportunities here, and so those are my thoughts. And I'm all for changing how we're structured. I'm all for 5 board members, but I want to make sure we're maximizing and structuring in a way that's the most powerful. You have thoughts, Crystal?
Yes, I do. I appreciate that research that you brought up, Mayor Phillips, because I do take this very seriously, and I attend almost as many meetings as I can. I might even go overboard to try to understand something so that I can vote. I do feel very responsible for every vote that I make, and I believe that that's why I was elected, is to understand things as well as I can. I think that the representation is really important, and I do like the way, if we go to 5, that it seems like, at least geographically for me, since I have 3/4 of the county in my district, that would be very helpful in my campaigning. But I don't have campaigning on my radar when I'm working. So what I do like is that it is divided more evenly, so that those who do represent urban areas have a constituency in the rural area. Right now, I am the only member on the board that has more rural than urban, and that is a concern to me, because when we do go to 5, there will not be a supervisor that has more rural than city constituents, and as a rural-centered county government, that is of concern to me. Will they understand? Will those that are running understand and come from a rural background and understand those issues that are facing them? I think also, in talking to our county attorney's office about this, they were concerned that a board would make these decisions and not have a petition from the public in the direction in which the public would want us to go. At this point, we're kind of driving this, and we're, saying, well, we'd like, it to be set up this way and that way. And a petition from the public would be just that. The public would then choose not only to go to a 5-member board, but the structure of that government. So the financial impact, that's really key. I don't know if it can go on the ballot, I don't know if that's something, but, that's a huge consideration. In Warren County and counties throughout Iowa, our part-time positions are benefit eligible. And so you can get a part-time person in here, and we don't really, for a part-time job, it's good income, but it's not something you can live off of if you have a family. So something with benefits, you're adding $20,000 to $22,000 more on that salary. So look at the base salary, but then add that if they do take the benefits. So that's a substantial amount of money for 2 more people who, if they aren't going to do their own research in these things, frankly, I'm not in favor of having 2 more people that are going to sit on this board and not go and do their homework and just depend on coming to a meeting and getting educated. Because at this board meeting, we do not have the thorough discussions about matters that are going on, because we have packets and we're able to go to other departments and talk to them about it, as well as attend other meetings and to get educated. And this meeting is for basically the public to know what is going on a very high level and what decisions we're making. So in that regard, I guess I really question going to 5, and I hadn't really considered the administrative position at Warren County. I think that's something that I would like to really look into. So I guess those are the thoughts that I had.
Okay.
Eric, can I just say one more thing?
You may.
Thank you. Tom Phillips again, Mayor of Norwalk. I really like the idea of administrator. I would warn you as far as having an administrator with 3 board members. That was attempted once here at Warren County. Probably a decade ago or so, there was one person that was acting as financial administrator type person. The board members would come to that person, and then all of a sudden there was information that was being relayed, and all of a sudden they broke open meetings laws. I think your administrator would be, if you had 3 and had an administrator, it would be very difficult to avoid breaking the open meetings laws. So I just caution you as far as that goes.
Well, even with the 5, we can get together. It's the perception from the public. It's not that we can get together and tell each other how we're voting on something, because I could do that with each other member, and that would be breaking open meeting law. So we can get together. It's just the perception to the public is, oh, they're not a quorum. So
Understand.
you know.
I'm just saying be careful with the administrator, because you would put the administrator in a bad position to break open meetings laws, and you don't want to do that.
And I think the administration, from what I understand, which I haven't researched this, excuse me, so I may be speaking out of turn, but I'm pretty sure that they have to be on the ballot as well. So it's someone that is voted on by the public. Well,
I know for cities to transfer from a council or board type of government to go to a city manager role, the city has to vote on it. I would imagine that that's the same thing for a county too, that to go to a manager role, they'd have to go to a vote.
So I wonder how that does affect the open meeting law. I wonder if that person also has to, I mean, I don't know. That doesn't
Right.
make sense if they're gonna be the administrator and can't talk to us, but at the same time.
But they can. Well, what I'm saying is that if you have 5, instead of trying to flow that communication through a single point of administrator because they're not a board member, you are flowing between board members then, rather than through a central point and break that law. So because if 2 of you meet, and if you met with Aaron and then met with whoever's sitting over there and then met with that person over there just to garner information, you're not making decisions, you're just sharing information at that point in time, and that's all legal. you're not breaking any open meetings laws at that point in time.
True.
So, just as a warning.
Good point, I can see exactly how it would happen with, where's there, talking to the administrator, well, where's Aaron on this point?
Right.
Or where's Crystal on this point? I mean, that would be an obvious conversation to have when we're trying to figure out, is this gonna pass, how it would, and that, I think, is the violation of the law. When
Right.
that administrator, well, this is what Aaron thinks.
Right.
And that was something we have to, that would definitely create a challenge.
Yeah, all right,
Yep.
thank you.
Okay, my concluding comment on it would be this: I never have any issue putting something to the public, and that's effectively what this proposal does. If the public determines that they would like to see 5 members for whatever reason that they'd like to, or if they feel like 3 is the better number, I have no qualms about putting that before them and letting them make that decision. And so for that reason, I will move my own item and make a motion to put forth on the next general election a question to the public of 2 additional board members. And then we'll see if we get a second.
I just wanna research more. I'm not against it, I just wanna research more.
I'd like a little more time too.
Okay. Fails for a lack of seconds. Then my final concluding comment on it is, if the public is desirous of going to 5 and the board is too slow on taking action, then by all means put forth a petition with 300 people's names on it, and that question then will not be the board's to make, but will be the public's to make, and then they can have their own vote on it on the November 2022 election. Right, with that budget update.
Is this on?
I think so.
Is your red light on?
Okay. So I was gonna start by going over the revenues, for April 2021. At this point in the budget, we should be about 83%, of the way through, so just a couple of notes, so far. So for the treasurer's office, we're not quite there. We've got driver's license fees and interest income, are less than we anticipated. For the attorney, fine fund revenue will increase, when the threshold is met, so we're hoping to see that go a little higher. For the Department of Human Services, reimbursements are paid quarterly, so we should receive our final reimbursement in May. And for child welfare, reimbursements equivalent to the expenses for both wellness, for the Conservation Board and wellness. There's budgeted transfers that are happening in May, so we'll see an increase there. And then for capital projects, we've got additional bond for the 911 communication project anticipated. So if we move on to expenditures, we have 2 to kind of note. The recorder's office is at 85.47. This is due to some part-time wages, so something the board needs to think about is if we want to allow that to go negative, or if we want to work on doing a reappropriation. And then in substance abuse, you'll see they're about at their budget. The reason for that is we've got, we might have a duplicate payment to House of Mercy, so right now we've got to call into them to see if we've got a duplicate payment and what's going on there, get that fixed. Finally, there's just the fund balances, so if you have any questions on any of those, just let me know. Any questions on any of them?
I just wanna thank you. I know I have publicly, I have noticed you staying late and doing all the things that you need to get done, and I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Megan. Number 13 is receive and file reports, Humane Society, General Assistance, and Veterans Affairs.
Make a motion to receive and file reports.
Second. Any discussion? Roll please.
McIntyre.
Aye.
Peter.
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye. 14, we have discuss nutritional director application with possible action. And I don't see
Oh, that would be me, I suppose.
Sure.
We talked about this in the work session, and I guess the thing that we would need to, discuss would be, the director position, which we only received one application. And the start date, she of course has been acting as our interim director. And if we were to approve her, I would like to backdate it to at least, the date that we received her application.
May 4th.
I think that, would it be the day of the close of the posting, or would it be the day we received?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I would have to look into that.
Okay. So we did have this open for, I believe it was more than 24 hours. We only received one application. And, like I said, she has been, the interim director. Jodine, who was the director of this, has been overburdened with the COVID administration of the vaccine, and just feels that she can't devote the time that is necessary to continue to be the director of this nutrition.
I'll make a motion to approve Marcia Davis as the new nutritional director, effective at the appropriate start date.
Okay, I'll get with John about that, unless we wanna wait.
Fine, do you have a second, Crystal?
Yes, a second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
McIntyre.
Aye.
Peter.
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye. Motion carries. Number 15 tonight is consider Justice Center request with possible action to move forward with following change orders. Looks like
There's
there's
actually,
3 change orders and a CCD.
there's a CCD that has no, cost associated with it. We don't need to approve that, and we also don't need to approve, number 53. So we're just asking for the approval of, change order number 52, it was the change on the mounting arm, of the exterior door. So that's one part of this change order. The other, part was adding wireless access points, to different areas without the Justice Center that we know we're gonna need those access points, and the wireless access points were, recommended by our IT staff, and they were involved in the meetings to get those, located and get the votes. So, any discussion on number 52?
None.
I'd like to make a motion to approve change order number 52 in the amount of $7,147.81.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call please.
McIntyre.
Aye.
Peter.
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye.
And we'll skip, change order number 53. We don't, I guess we can talk about that. I guess we can approve it in this we might as well approve while we're here. It's the, door to the penthouse up in the, I guess the penthouse of the, Justice Center. They realized that they didn't have the hardware to make it secure. That wasn't in our original design. The amount was $3,270.55. So I'd like to make a motion, or any discussion on that?
So, what is the penthouse?
It's the upper level,
Oh, of the jail?
yes.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, that's okay. That's a good question.
I would approve that.
Okay.
Sorry, second. Is that, wait. I thought you made a motion.
I didn't, I started to, so I can see why you were confused.
Okay.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve change order number 53 in the amount of $3,270.55.
Second.
Any discussion? Tracy?
McIntyre.
Aye.
Heater.
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye. And then the final one looks like C, change order number 54.
Steel wall for shower closure. It's been in front of you for a while. It actually, was discussed in, one of our meetings about 6 weeks ago. It's now, the wall plate has arrived and we're ready to approve the change order. It's for the shower enclosure.
I'll make a motion to approve the shower enclosure.
Second?
Tracy?
McIntyre.
Aye.
Heater.
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye. And that carries. Moving on to number 16. We've got consider claims from Iowa Process Service with possible action. I've got claims number statement ending in 358 in the amount of $885. Statement number 351 in the amount of $3,695.
What was the last three of the second one? Of the invoice?
351 was the statement number.
Statement, thank you.
And I make a motion to approve both claims.
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion? Tracy?
McIntyre.
Aye.
Heater.
Abstain.
DeCook.
Aye. Motion carries. Alright, number 17, supervisors report. Who would like to go first?
I'll go first. Okay, for the last 2 weeks, I met with conservation about the Great Western Trail, took a tour of Harvest Academy, and called Senator Garrett to answer questions concerning the Harvest Academy. Met with the 911 director for updates. Was updated by the co-director of conservation. Various calls with HR. Update with the auditor. Met with nutrition interim director. Update with IT director and several other meetings with him. Professional Development Academy breakout group, live event twice in the last 2 weeks, and classes every day with the Professional Development Academy. ISAC American Rescue Plan working group meetings, 2 in the last 2 weeks. Interviewed over the phone strategic planners. Met with ADP, HR, and office assistant to discuss options and training. Our bi-weekly work session, attended a special board meeting to discuss work orders for Warren County Justice Center. And wanted to make aware to the public that we do have a road notification tool that the public can sign up. If you're interested, please contact myself. These are for emails to know when and where roads are closed, and it is available on our website. If you have any questions or how to get to it, please contact me. Dispatch discussions with the 911 director and EMA. Also attended and head up the Warren County EMA restructuring meeting. Attended a webinar on confronting extremism. Attended a Mount Tabor cemetery open house where Stan Lawyer was recognized for his Eagle Scout project, installing new flag poles at every cemetery within Squaw Creek Township. Met with the engineer, auditor concerning payroll and benefits assignment. Last night, our 911 service board met for a presentation and discussion by the sheriff. And that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Supervisor.
certainly, thank you. I just wanna, just say thank you to our treasurer's office. Tabitha, with our treasurer's office, was able to, locate some abstracts that helped us with a, TIF issue, and that seems to be going in the right direction to get, revenue, deserved revenue back into Warren County. So if you see Tabitha, please give her a hug or thank her or a high five or whatever's COVID appropriate, fist bump. I've had a meeting with Harvest States, fielded some constituents' calls relative to some parking on square issues, multiple justice center meetings. In the process of formulating some maintenance schedules and maintenance structuring around Kirk, and I've been thinking and trying to figure out if we're doing the appropriate things in regards to maintenance. Don't have anything for the board at this point. I did attend another recycling meeting, 2 IT meetings, regarding the Justice Center and getting the right things there. We don't have all the things we need to have a secure wireless network in our Justice Center, but we're getting there. And IT, my hat's off to IT, they've been tremendous. They know what they need, they know how to get it, and they've been doing great. I attended an impact orientation meeting. I visited with zoning in regards to a couple of issues, and I attended the 911 dispatch meeting last night. I met with a constituent on a statute issue here a couple days ago, and that's about it.
Thank you. Work session and special meetings, as the other ones attended. Spent some time reaching out to some members of the legislature regarding year-end budgeting and specifically court funding. The court had sent an email addressed to myself and maybe the board regarding some of their share of our project, and at that point they weren't positive exactly what sort of number the legislature was going to send to them, and while that might not exactly fall into our wheelhouse, I have a vested interest in making sure that that building keeps moving in the right direction. And so it was time to make sure that that building's moving in the right direction. And I am pleased to announce that I believe as of last week, funding has been secured from the court's portion at a higher dollar amount than perhaps, or at least the minimum dollar amount, and furniture walls are still up in the air, but it was a good number. Did have a meeting with our sheriff. Spent a little bit of time in the engineer's office recently on a couple things. Let's see. Did attend the Norwalk school board meeting last night. Did meet with our payroll person, director. take some calls and emails regarding some constituent issues, including, well, this recent rain has been very well received in my book because the Raccoon River is so low and farmers need water, and I'm trying to grow some deer food plots. It unfortunately has made a few of our roads a little wetter than they were a couple weeks before. I'm starting to get a couple of those, but I think our engineer is on it, so that was good. Did want to give the public just a brief COVID update from a non-doctor, but I did address the public a couple months back in February up here about vaccine rollout and how it would be my hope that a return to normal and not a return to more normal would be coming sooner rather than later. Our health director has informed me that we are one of the counties that are returning additional vaccines away. It seems to me like everyone who is desirous of getting a vaccine certainly has the accessibility to do so, and the numbers of vaccinated folks continue to grow. Our school, the reason I went to the school board meeting last night was because I think most people are aware the Iowa Department of Health issued some new guidance for schools for the last 2 weeks of school. The CDC came out with some updated guidance late last week, and I was curious to see how our school district was going to deal with the same. They took sort of a measured middle ground approach there, but I did see that some of the schools in the county took a more aggressive approach. I think Indianola and Carlisle perhaps dropped mask mandates altogether, and so everyone's doing something different, and that's fine. I'm just happy to see some progress. I would also encourage kindness and patience, because everyone seems to be in a different spot, and everyone has different life experiences. Some people have lost people, and others have not really had any effect of it. So, for whatever it's worth, I always encourage kindness where possible and show some grace and compassion, because everyone has different experiences. But from my take, it looks like things are moving to a much nicer and more normal summer, and I'm certainly looking forward to that. So with that will be my supervisor's report tonight. And at this time, we will open it up for public comment. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per individual. The board will not be taking any action on said comments due to the requirements of the open meetings laws, but may do so in the future. Public input will not be allowed for today's items. Mr. Phillips.
Skip Phillips, 1341 Ron Street, Chairman of the Board of Directors for Greenfield Township Trustees, Chairman of the Northern Warren Fire and Emergency Response Trustees. I don't have all of the information on this, but I understand close to R63 and G24, there's a halfway house being developed, and it sounds like that the longer range plan is for that to become as many as 85 people in that population. I have 2 concerns. One, as an architect, I'm concerned that we don't have the building codes that are necessary for a population that big in a building. Number 2, our emergency response area, and that's part of the Greenfield Township Northern Warren Fire Department. That's going to put a rather large strain if there are an emergency situation there. Of course, we do have mutual aid agreements, but that could be a very dangerous situation to have that large of a population. What I would suggest is that you have a limit on the number of people that are allowed in that particular operation, or better yet, move it to a city where it's a better fit for their goals. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else for figures that our next meeting, Tuesday, is gonna fall on June 1st. That'll be a 9:30 a.m. meeting. I usually say something along the lines of we go morning and then evening. A prior board not too many years ago made that decision so that folks would have the ability, if they were working, to be physically present and to be able to address the board. Sometimes that's more impactful than sending a letter or an email or whatever. And so tonight's our evening meeting. Our next one's gonna be the morning meeting. Our next official one will be June 1 at 9:30. With that, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I'll second. Tracy.
McIntyre.
Aye.
Peter.
Aye.
DeCook.
We are adjourned. Thank you all for your time tonight.